I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, I didn't want to put him down early. You all know I was handcuffed. I don't want to say anything that I will be regretting in the future. But all I can say now is the first 20 seconds was enough for me to end Jake Paul.
Win, and guess what? Jake Paul is right again, and this decision will prove to be positive for him.
Yeah.
That said, he's got a broken jaw.
Done so much for me, and I just am happy and grateful, and just all the life memories that are created through these fight weeks and everything that we've done is just...
You've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shocked.
So here's where it all crashes down. Logan Paul just dropped the bomb that Jake is done with boxing after Anthony Joshua absolutely destroyed his jaw. And listen, this isn't some dramatic pause or strategic break we're talking about here. This is straight up damage control happening in real time.
I hope that life pans out for you, because if you're unable to see this fight for what it is, you have a level of dark hatred, black.
Because when Logan comes out this direct about it, no dancing around, no maybe he'll be back nonsense. You know, something went sideways behind closed doors. A year back, Jake was talking world championship belts, and now we're hearing words like reflection and stepping away. Those aren't comeback words, those are exit strategy words.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some time off to go support Yuta at the Olympics.
So sick.
Then she's gonna move to Puerto Rico, move her here.
Jake's whole thank you speech hit different though. Way too polished, way too grateful. Like he was reading from a script someone else wrote, because fighters who plan comebacks don't spend time listing their favorite memories. They talk about what's next, and when everyone around you starts praising your heart instead of your skills, that's boxing language for your ceiling. Just got exposed.
Body, I mean that, you know, I wasn't being facetious before, but like you never know the landscape of this, but more likely he's thought this is a good time to bow out or got a few niggles. And
here's where Eddie Hearn made it real uncomfortable. He wasn't talking about emotions or temporary setbacks. He was talking cold, hard medical facts. Shattered jaw, accumulated damage, your body sending you messages you can't ignore anymore. And when your own physical structure becomes the loudest voice in the room telling you to quit, that career countdown timer starts ticking loud.
Jake Paul knew exactly what his tactics would be going into that fight. He was in there just to survive. He wasn't in there to win. He didn't even try to win. He couldn't win. So when you know in your mindset, you know in your mind's eye, I can't win that fight. What do? I've got to survive. How do I survive? I've got to run like a thief in the night.
Duke McKenzie said something that should terrify anyone paying attention. He claimed Jake went into that whole fight just trying not to get completely destroyed, not trying to win, just trying to survive. And once that survival mentality takes over against elite competition, you're already finished. Because champions smell fear and they feed on it.
He's a big personality and he sells fights so well, and he's a big character, and the press conferences, the build up to fights, and what he delivers in the ring. The guy is a serious talent, and he'll be missed when he's retired. That is.
Spencer Oliver trying to spin this as some kind of moral victory almost felt insulting, because celebrating the fact that someone managed to stay conscious while getting systematically dismantled isn't praise, it's pity, and all that social media bravado just evaporated the second real heavyweight power connected. This wasn't losing a star, this was everyone breathing a sigh of relief that it didn't end worse.
He's retired, he's not going to do it again. We've seen it before, and I'm quite sure the common word's going to be the boy that cried wolf. I think in reality,
Johnny Nelson cut straight through all the diplomatic language. Called it humiliating but predictable, because internet tough guy persona means absolutely nothing when someone who lives in that violence every day decides to turn up the heat. And when multiple boxing veterans all start using the same vocabulary, you know they're seeing something they're not saying out loud.
I think, like, other than boxing, there's a lot of egos involved, if that makes sense. Like, he said this, he said that, I want this, I want that.
Tyson Fury's reaction poured fuel on the fire, made humiliation the word that stuck. And in boxing, once that label gets attached to your name, it follows you forever. Hospital visits and one-sided beatdowns don't fade from public memory. When Fury calls you a boxer in name only, that's not trash talk, that's a professional evaluation.
But I think Jake fought a very, how do I survive long enough to land a right hand type of fight, and it made it a little difficult for AJ to get his timing No excuses. AJ didn't look great. I'll be honest. He didn't look great. He didn't look like, you know, an AJ we thought we were going to get, the Marauder, the guy that was going to come forward and bang out Jake in one round. Pause.
Carl Froelich broke it down like he was performing surgery, described someone who was completely overwhelmed, absorbing punishment without any real answers, and millions of people witnessed it live. He wasn't fighting smart, he was just enduring, and endurance without any threat is just drawn out humiliation. Froelich saying this wasn't even a real fight, just a demonstration, cuts deep because demonstrations exist to teach lessons.
So much back, he should have either grabbed on, took a knee, or at least threw a bit more back. He was sitting back with his guard up, taking punches. It looked messy, it looked like he was under attack, and he was hurt around.
Dana White's take made it even darker. He framed this as someone's ambition crashing headfirst into reality that doesn't negotiate. And taking that kind of punishment from Anthony Joshua isn't character building, it's career ending. When Dana calls something a warning, every crossover athlete should pay attention because lines got crossed that can't be uncrossed.
I don't hate your brother. You guys need to fight guys your same size. When you fought Floyd, you are massive. He did hit you with a fucking bomb, and you fought.
Dave Allen delivered the hardest truth for real boxing fans. Said all the cleverness in the world couldn't hide the lack of actual power in defense. And that's mathematics nobody can argue with. Ring intelligence without physical tools collapses under elite pressure. Retirement becomes logical, not because of fear, but because the numbers don't add up.
Well, the fight was, it weren't a fight, was it? Really, really one-sided. Jake Paul, yeah, I've got to give him credit really because he's super fit. He's pretty clever really. Like he'd make a good, good journeyman.
Even the compliments backfired. Praising Jake's conditioning while he was getting picked apart only highlighted how massive the skill gap really was. Eddie Hearn saying that final shot would have knocked out most professionals doesn't make Jake equal to champions, it makes him lucky to be walking.
So yes, it took AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him and then he knocked him spark out and broke his jaw. It was a frustrating 2-3 rounds maybe because Jake was moving so much.
I'm glad Anthony Joshua did that too, because now he won't be able to talk like he does for a while. We won't have to listen to his book.
Mackenzie's final assessment felt like a verdict getting read. Saying Jake literally asked for this by stepping up hits different when you see the medical reports afterward. The fact that he wasn't completely unconscious being called miraculous tells you how close this came to being tragic. That's not dramatic storytelling, that's reality stepping in.
Kid has a broken jaw, it appears, after fighting Anthony Joshua, right? I made this graphic for you guys. You see it. Got his jaw broken in 2 places.
Care of me forever and ever? A little fucked up. But when you take care of me forever and ever? A little fucked up.
The broken jaw imagery sealed the deal. Injuries like that don't just heal and disappear. They change how you move, how you react, how confident you feel. Boxing doesn't forgive hesitation. Anyone pretending this is just a temporary setback is lying to themselves. A jaw fractured in multiple places isn't a plot twist, it's an ending.
Just a fucking piss take that this guy's in there with Anthony Joshua, swinging away, landing. What's he done? He's had 18 minutes and landed 2 shots. And he's gone on survival mode. And there'll be a lot of viewers on Netflix.
My opinion, 4 of them. People argue that he at least won 3. No one expected him to last that long. Rolled his ankle, broke his jaw, still fucking fighting, man. Like, that's toughness. You know, most people wouldn't have the balls ever to step in a boxing ring in their life. He stepped in a boxing ring with one of the baddest men on the planet, who's 40 pounds heavier than him.
So don't try to dress this up as pure courage or pure hatred. This was exposure happening on live television. Jake Paul's boxing story didn't close quietly, it cracked under pressure. Whether you respected his ambition or couldn't stand the hype, the result stays the same. Elite boxing made its statement. The retirement discussion feels fake because whether Jake ever comes back almost doesn't matter now. The illusion of upward momentum is shattered. Boxing is ruthless about this, because once you get labeled as someone who survived instead of someone who threatened, everything changes. The matchmaking changes, the audience changes, the respect level changes. There's also a bigger cultural reckoning happening that people are avoiding. Boxing has always struggled with balancing entertainment and legitimacy. This fight leaned too heavy towards spectacle and paid for it in blood. The backlash isn't really about Jake personally, it's about fear of what this sets up going forward. I don't think Jake is weak or stupid, but I think he underestimated how fast reality arrives at the highest levels. You don't get adjustment time once you're in there with someone who's been living in that danger for decades. That's the lesson nobody wants to state clearly because it doesn't make ambition sound heroic. This moment will age poorly for everyone involved. Not because it happened, but because it was allowed to happen under the pretense of legitimate competition. Years from now, this won't be remembered as brave. It'll be the cautionary example people reference when someone else starts talking about skipping developmental steps. My take is uncomfortable because nobody wants to sit with it. This wasn't just Jake Paul losing a fight, this was boxing forcefully correcting a lie that had grown too big. Hype became a substitute for proper hierarchy. Social media reach started pretending it could outweigh actual lineage. Anthony Joshua didn't just punch Jake, he burst the bubble around crossover credibility. What bothers me most is how quickly everything flipped from celebration to concern. That doesn't happen unless people saw something alarming in real time. When analysts stop arguing about victories and start talking about survival and mercy, that's not spin, that's fear bleeding through professionalism. Boxing people recognize irreversible damage when they see it. I also don't buy that this was purely Jake's ambition driving everything. Fights at this level don't happen accidentally. When promoters, commentators, and networks all line up afterward talking about inevitability, it suggests they knew what was coming. Someone sold this as competitive, knowing it wasn't. The praise for toughness feels empty because toughness is what you celebrate. When skill runs out, elite sport isn't supposed to run on admiration, it's supposed to run on preparation and ability. Constantly reframing survival as courage feels like protecting an idea that already collapsed. What this really revealed is how fragile the crossover experiment becomes once it touches heavyweight boxing, because heavyweights don't deal in learning experiences, they deal in consequences. Joshua represented the unforgiving end of the spectrum, where mistakes don't educate, they erase. I keep coming back to Logan's confirmation because that felt less like brotherly concern and more like damage control for the entire brand. Once one brother absorbs that level of punishment, the other has to reassess everything. Stepping away isn't just about healing, it's about stopping the story from becoming something that can't be spun back into motivation.